Good morning. How are you, boys and girls? Today's Thursday, and we're going to review for our memory verse. Tomorrow's the day you need to say your memory verse for Mrs. Kraft. Remember, either send me a video or call me, or if I don't hear from you, I will call you. But let's say our verse. We'll do it one time without the motions, or if you can do your motions, that's fine. The second time we'll do the motions. Are you ready? Here we go. Romans 5:8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this. While we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Are you ready to put their emotions with it? Here we go. Romans 5, verse 8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That's right, boys and girls. Christ died for you. He died for me. He does not want any sin in heaven. He can't abide by that. That means there is absolutely, positively no sin in heaven. There is definitely sin in our world today, but it's a great day that we can share with somebody about the love of God. Okay, one more time. You ready? Romans 5, verse 8. But God demonstrates his own love for us in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. That's right. He died for you. He died for me. Okay, are you ready for our story? Do you remember yesterday we had, well, where are they? Yes, here we are. Sorry, Mrs. Kraft got her cards all mixed up. But remember, Daniel was chosen by King Darius as one of the three presidents. And not only was he chosen as one of the three presidents, he was chosen as the chief president. But the other two presidents were jealous and envious. They did not love the one true God like Daniel did. They wanted to make a rule or a law to catch Daniel and make him go to the den of lions. Do you remember that? Remember they came to King Darius and they said, "Oh, King Darius." Remember, King Darius was a proud man. He loved to be important. They said, "King Darius, we think you ought to make a law that everybody should pray to you for 30 days. 30 days is a whole month, remember. And if they don't, what was going to happen? That's right. They were going to be thrown into the den of lions." Now, boys and girls, we see lions at the zoo. We see lions on TV. We see lions in our picture books and our magazines. But can you imagine if you were actually thrown into a den of lions, into a pit where lions were? I would be totally afraid. But that was the rule. That was the law. And King Darius was such a proud man. He loved being noticed. Why, surely everybody could pray to him. And all the what? All the presidents? Yeah, all three of the presidents decided this. Remember, that's what they said. But was that true? No. They had not even talked to Daniel, who was the chief of the presidents. That's right. They made this rule without him. They wanted to catch Daniel in that trap. Okay, so here we go. Are you ready? Well, Daniel every day went to his window and opened it up, and he prayed towards Jerusalem 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night. Do you pray to God? Mrs. Kraft does. I pray first thing in the morning, asking the Lord for a good day, asking him to give me wisdom on what we should do for the day, for protection if I'm going to travel around, or for my husband to get to work safely. I pray that he would make my mouth do the right things, because sometimes my mouth gets me in trouble. That's right, that I could be a servant and I can help other people. And then, do you pray for your meals? We pray for our meals, thanking God for the blessings of the day. And at night, I pray during my devotion times too, praying for special people who are sick or who need help. And then at night, when I go to bed, I ask the Lord to take my sins that I've done, those bad things, that mouth of mine that can get me into trouble. That's right. I ask the Lord to take and forgive me, and he does. But Daniel came 3 times a day to that window, opened that window wide up. Everybody could see him. And guess what? He prayed to the one true God. He had done this for forever. He had done this as long as he can remember. Remember, he's an old man by now. He's not that young boy that was captured from when the Babylonians came. But guess what, boys and girls? He knew about the new law. Do you remember the new law? The king had signed a law to the Medes and the Persians that said everyone, no exceptions, had to pray to him for 30 days. Guess what? That law cannot be broken. The king couldn't even change the law. And Daniel knew it. That Daniel loved God more than he loved man. Is there something you know that you can pray about for someone? Is there something you know that you can do better at? Maybe you don't even pray before you eat your food. You know, that's a blessing to have food. Have you seen the long food lines on TV where boys and girls don't have food? Moms and dads aren't working. There are lots of people who don't have food in their cupboard. I bet if you go to your cupboard today and open it up, there's all kinds of foods in there, in that refrigerator. All kinds of yummy stuff. Yeah, I am very blessed, and you are very blessed. And we need to thank Jesus for that blessing. Well, you know what? It was not a problem for Daniel to stand there and pray. He prayed because he loved God. He wanted God to know what he was thinking in his heart. But just outside his window were two people. Can you guess who they were? That's right. You can guess who they were. They were those other two presidents. They were just waiting to catch Daniel in that trap. And sure enough, they heard Daniel praying. They wasted no time at all. Guess who they went to see? They went to see King Darius. King Darius, oh, King Darius, did you not make a law that anyone who prays to someone other than you for 30 days will be thrown into the pit where the lions were? Yes, I made that law. That, of course, is the law that has been written on the books. Why? Oh, King Darius, the man that you have chosen to be chief of the presidents, he has broken that law. He has prayed to his God. That's right, the God that he served back in Jerusalem. Oh my goodness. How did King Darius feel when he realized he had been tricked? These two guys over here, these two presidents, had told him all the presidents agreed. But that was a lie. That was a trick. Satan had worked in their hearts. And King Darius had become a part of that plan. What was he going to do? Well, these guys are not going to let it rest. You must go arrest him. You must go capture him and take him and throw him in the pit. You said that this was the law, and this law cannot be broken. King Darius's heart was very sad. He knew Daniel. He loved Daniel. Really, I think he did, because why would you choose somebody to be the chief of the presidents if you didn't trust them? Yes, he said, you must go capture him. So he sent the guards to Daniel's house to capture him and bring him back to the den of lions. Well, boys and girls, his heart was very heavy. They brought him to the opening of the den, and there they stood. Guess what was down inside that pit? Hungry, growling lions, pacing back and forth. You know what? I'm sure King Darius was feeling terrible. Meanwhile, these guys were over here rubbing their hands together, saying, yes, we finally caught Daniel. We're going to be rid of him. No more worries anymore. Well, their worries have not even begun yet. They took Daniel to the top of there, and as he looked down, King Darius said to Daniel, the Bible tells us this, thy God, whom thou servest continually, he will deliver you. Even King Darius trusted Daniel so much and in his God that he knew Daniel would be delivered. Boys and girls, how is God going to deliver Daniel from hungry lions? I would be so afraid if a lion came up with those big teeth and growled at me. But guess what? They put Daniel down into that pit. They lowered him down and lowered him down and lowered him down until he got to the bottom of that pit. And guess what? There were the lions. As he went down into that pit, guess what? The king even put a double seal at the top. Remember, a pit is down low. It's not a cave, it's a pit. At the top was an opening. And according to the law, he had to put a seal or a rock around it. A double one, two of them. You know what, boys and girls? There was a seal, a rock outside the tomb. But guess what? That seal and that tomb was broken only by God. That's right. When Jesus arose from the grave, he didn't need that stone to move. He could come right through it. He had the power. God has the power to stop these lions. Okay, are you ready? Let's see what happens. So Daniel was down in the bottom of that pit with all those hungry lions. Not one of them opened his mouth to bite him, to scratch him. The Bible tells us that they became calm. Can you imagine that? They didn't open their mouth to bite him. I would be worried that they'd snarl at me and bite me and scratch me. The Bible doesn't tell us that maybe he even rested against them, like right here, and slept against their nice warm bodies. We don't know. We'll have to find out later in heaven, won't we? But they came so close to him, but they never, ever harmed him. God sent his angel to close the mouth of those lions. Maybe Daniel smiled as he curled up next to him and thought, God has provided for me again. Daniel trusted God. He never, ever thought, you know what? God's failed me. Daniel knew that no matter what happened, that God should be glorified. Meanwhile, back at the palace, King Darius couldn't even sleep. He was so worried about Daniel. He paced back and forth, and his servant said, here, have something to eat. He couldn't even eat. He had no appetite at all. He couldn't sleep. First thing, when morning light came, when the sun came up, he said, take me right away to the pit. I want to see how Daniel is. Well, when they got to the pit, what do you think he found? Once there, the king had the seal broken. See the hole? And there's King Darius. He had the seal broken, and he peered down into that pit, and what did he see? He saw lions, but he also saw Daniel. That's right. Daniel had not a scratch on him. He was fine. God had protected him all night long. Daniel looked up at the king and he said, "O king, live forever." Daniel still respected the king, even though the king had put him in the pit. God gave Daniel the wisdom to know that he was still respect was still due to the king. My God has sent an angel, Daniel said, to shut the mouths of those lions and deliver me. They have not hurt me because I am innocent of doing anything against God or against you, O king. The king was overjoyed to hear that Daniel was well. But once again, God took care of his servant because Daniel trusted him. Then the king made a very important decision. He commanded that they go find those two presidents alive and their families, and he brought them, after they pulled Daniel out of that pit, and put them inside the pit with all those lions. Guess what happened, boys and girls? Those lions became lions again. That's right. They snarled, they bit, they destroyed those families. But Daniel survived because he trusted God, because he believed God, because he wanted to love God with all his heart. And he knew that no matter what happened, God would make the right decision. Darius said to Daniel, he commanded everyone to fear and tremble the God that Daniel worshiped. In other words, he's going to make almost a new law. It's not really a law, but he wants everybody to know that now he believes in the one true God. He says, he is the living God and steadfast for forever, and his kingdom which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion which shall never end. That means he knew God was going to go on forever and ever. Even today, I worship the same God that Daniel worshiped. You worship the same God that Daniel worships. He delivers and he rescues. He worketh signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. He has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. The king recognized what was going on. Thus, Daniel's God became King Darius's God. Because Daniel was faithful to serve God, King Darius saw a good example. Boys and girls, do you have a good example around you? Does mommy and daddy love God? I hope they do. Are you watching them? Are you copying them because you want to be like them? Don't just copy them. Make God your own God. That's right. King Darius had to make God his own God. He couldn't just say, oh, because Daniel believes, I believe. He had to make that decision in his own heart. There's a way to decide. Remember that God demonstrates his own love for us, and that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. You can believe that Christ died. You can believe that in your head. Yeah, it's part of history. But you have to believe it in your heart. You have to admit with your mouth to God that you are a sinner, that you have done wrong things. You have to believe in your heart that he was dead on the cross, but that he rose from the dead. He's in heaven waiting for you and I. That's right. And then you have to confess. You have to say to Jesus, I am sorry for my sin. Boys and girls, if you have any questions about that, you can always call me or ask mommy and daddy. They are the best ones to ask first. Okay. Bye. I'll see you tomorrow. Well, actually, this is on Thursday, so tomorrow is Friday Chapel. I hope you're watching Mrs. Hamilton's chapels. They're always great. Okay, tomorrow, be ready to say your verse. Bye.